Do it on your own, Priyanka.
Yeah. Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudevendra Yogindram Natva Jnanapradam Gurum Mumukshunam Hitarthaya Tattva Bodho Bhidhiyate. Nityam Shuddham Nirabhasam Nirakaram Niranjanam Nityabodham Anandam Gurum Brahma Namamyaham. Vivek kaha Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Mithyati.
Yeti.
Mithyeti.
Or else it will be mithya iti.
Mithya iti.
Either of the two. But while chanting, we try and keep the sandhi. So we do mithyeti.
आत्मा कह स्थूल सूक्ष्म कारण शरीराद व्यतिरिक्तः पंचकोशातीतः सन् अवस्थात्रय साक्षी सच्चिदानंद स्वरूपः सन् यस्तिष्ठति स आत्मा.
Excellent. I'll chant this first and then you can follow me. स्थूल शरीरं किम्
स्थूल शरीरं किम्
पञ्चीकृत पञ्चमहाभूतैः
पंचीकृत पंचमहाभूतैः
कृतं सत्कर्मजन्यम् सुखदुःखादिभोगायतनम् शरीरम् अस्ति जायते वर्धते विपरिणमते अपक्षीयते विनश्यति इति षड्विकारवदे तत्स्थूल शरीरम्. Very good. Thank you. Very well done. And of course, even when one person is doing the invocation, I hope we are all mentally also doing the invocation ourselves in our minds at that time. So we will now continue. We are seeing Atma Kaha. What is Atma? Before I proceed further, a suggestion I will make. Take it as an exercise for Shama. Shama meaning mental discipline. A mind nigraha, mano nigraha. While the portion is on, in your mind, do not replace the word Atma with Its English translation frequently used, consciousness or awareness. Try and keep those translations out of your mind. Atma is an indescribable word, but so is consciousness and awareness, really speaking. If we watch carefully, our idea of consciousness or awareness confines itself only to our body and particularly about our waking identity. When I'm a wakeful person, if I stretch it a little bit, yes, I can understand I must be conscious because I had a dream. But there seems to be my major understanding of consciousness that I relate to, or awareness, is always with reference to things that I contact and I see. So I'm aware of things, I'm aware of people, I'm aware of environment, I'm conscious of my feelings, so there is this off, it's always an object related awareness, consciousness. Usually when we hear it, just because Atma is not an understood word, to try and sincerely understand the word, we even as teachers have used the word consciousness and awareness to make people comfortable with the idea and word. But here I am taking the courage to give this suggestion that if you can keep these translations out of your mind and try and grasp the topic, it's not one class or one verse. It's going to be a topic. The entire topic of Atma that the author is going to elaborate to us. Till then, we sustain the word Atma as Atma. Do not give it personal interpretations. Do not color it with our personal understanding or trying to understand in personal words. If I am able to sustain that discipline, that's why I'm saying it's Mano Nigraha, because it's fairly tough to relate to a portion without having some word that you can catch on to which you understand. So in this portion now, almost all the words are going to be new that the author is going to tell us. You are going to get introduced to a new vocabulary. As I have said before, when we study anatomy, and the first classes, when you studied and you were given the names of the muscles and you were given the complete different language of, हम कहेंगे हाथ उठाना है. So उठाने को they'll say flexion. सीधा, why don't you just say lift your hand? Why do you need another word for it? But you realize later on that these were needed for certain kind of a diagnosis or certain way in which your mind has to be trained to look upon a thing. So too Vedanta uses, and in fact the entire Veda is, as we've said, alaukik pramanam. So all the words used there, which are basic knowledge, is all new words to all of us. So let us try and stick to the word Atma, a suggestion, that's it. Now if you stick to the question, Atma kaha, what is Atma? And if you keep in your mind Atma as Atma, then definitely the question is mine also, what is Atma? Remember he said in the previous verse, Atma Satyam, Tat Anyat Sarvam Mithya Iti. Everything else other than that is Mithya. Now he started explaining each word. So the first word is, what is Atma? To say Atma is Satyam, what is Atma? He gives here the definition. First, over here there are three kinds of definitions to say that Atma is not that. Vyatirikta. That is not Atma. What is not? These three things are what? What is not Atma? Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira. So the Sharira word goes with all the three. So Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. These are three Sharira references. All three are taken as one. Atma is different from all this, all the three types of Shariras. Then the second one is Panchakosha Atitaha. It transcends, it is beyond, not in the physical sense, but it transcends the Panchakosha, 5 koshas. Koshas is sheets, coverings. I will explain to us what they are. Just for now, Atma is Vyatiriktaha to the 5 sheets. Third one, Avasthatraya, Sakshi. Atma is also Vyatiriktaha to Avasthatraya. And what? Sakshi remains as a Sakshi. What is it? Avasthatraya is waking, dream and deep sleep. Atma, other than these three, remains a Sakshi. Observer, conditional observer, pure observer. Moreover, now what really will you say is Atma? These three is what it is not. It is not Sthula Sharira. It is not Karana Sharira. It is not Sukshma Sharira. It is not Panchakoshas. It is not Avasthatraya. It remains Sakshi. And moreover, its Swarupa, its nature is of Sat, Chit, Anandaha. It is of the nature of Sat, Chit and Anandaha. That which remains, Tishtati, hai. The word Tishtati should be translated as is. Remains, hai. Not the leftover remains. Hai wala remains. Hai is. जो ऐसी है स्वरूप से वो आत्मा है. That is Atma. Now so many words have been got introduced there. What is Sthula Sharira? What is Sukshma Sharira? What is Karana Sharira? Then only I will know that Atma is Vyatirikta to it. Then what are the 5 koshas? When I know the 5 koshas, then I can say that this is not Atma. What are the 3 states? How do I distinguish them? When I know the 3 states, I can say this is not Atma. And when I say all this is not Atma, then I recognize the Sakshi of all this as a Sakshi of Sthula Sharira, as a Sakshi of Sukshma Sharira, as a Sakshi of Karana Sharira, as a Sakshi of Panchakoshaha, as a Sakshi of Avasthatraya. It remains as Sat, Chit, Ananda, another 3 words. Now the way the author has followed the flow, he has created a thought flow. In this thought flow, he's going to take each of them separately and give us a clarity on it. So the first one is, what is Sthula Sharira? So the question is, Sthula Shariram Kim? Forget Atma Kaha now. That will he'll reconnect at the end of all the explanations of all these words. Now he's explaining each word. What is called Sthula Sharira? What is called gross? Sthul means gross. Gross doesn't mean that kind of a gross. It means solidified. It actually means contactable, visible. Sthula Sharira means जो स्थूल अवस्था में है. स्थूल अवस्था means object अवस्था में है. Something that has got objectified. What is Sharira which has got objectified? It has become an object. What is Sthula Sharira? And now he gives us more words. So you have to be really patient and follow it. Panchikrit Pancha Mahabhutaihi. Kritam. First element. Take this as the first element. Panchikrit Pancha Mahabhutaihi. First element. Kritam Sat Karma Janyam. Second element. Sat Karma Janyam Kritam. Dukkhadi Bhogayatanam Shariram. Third element. Sukha Dukkha Adi. Bhoga Ayatanam Shariram. That is called a Sharira. Sharira word, you see here, Sthula Sharira. What we call in English as body. In our terminology, Sanskrit, it's called Sharira. And Sharira, it is called because Sanskrit, all of them have definite definitions in themselves in the words. The word Sharira means, Shiyamanam Swabhavam Shariram. Shiyamanam, there should be a dot. Shiyamana is the Swabhav. का स्वभाव है क्षीय होना. क्षीय means destroy. The one whose nature is destruction, destructible. Whatever is destructible is called a sharira. So coming back, sharira by itself means it is, as a word it conveys, it is something that is destructible. So sthula sharira means, he says in the definition, panchikrit, to the process of, there's a definite process, which again the author is going to explain later on. Panchikaranam is the process. Through Panchikaranam of what? Mahabhutas, the five. Pancha Mahabhuto ka Panchikaranam se. शरीर क्या है? जो बना है, कैसे बना है? It has come about through the process of Panchikaranam of the Pancha Mahabhutas. Five Mahabhutas have undergone a modification, and that modifying process, changing process, is called Panchikaranam. Five is going to compute itself. It's a computational change. For those who understand the term well, it's a computational change that's happening in, which is called Panchikaranam. What are these five elements? We all know them. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Akashaha. I'm sorry I didn't get the time to write the Devanagari. My laptop doesn't take that, so I'll probably complete it later. Akashaha, Vayuhu, Agnihi, Jalam, Prithvi. These are the five elements. We all know that these five elements, we consider it as inert. They're inert elements. The five elements are actually in there, what we contact now, what we can see now. These elements, the visible elements, contactable elements, is what is defining them as gross elements. They have got grossified enough. They have taken the Panchikaranam and have changed enough that now they can be contactable. They are contactable now. So when you contact these elements, this is called their gross state, sthula avastha. स्थूल शरीर है ये. So what is the स्थूल शरीर made up of? Through Panchikaranam of the 5 elements, the 5 elements being space, air, fire, water, earth, the gross body is formed. जो हमारा physical structure है, is actually a structure. Correspond it when you see a new building being made. You have these pillars, and then you have the roof, and then you have first the foundation, of course, the foundation, and then you see how the structure starts to form, and then comes the minor details inside. And once the house is complete, then you are handed the key by whoever's built it, and he says, now you can come and live in it. Now it's livable. You can habit it. You can cohabit it. You can abide in it. You can stay here. You can live here now. When you say you live here, it is basically made from structures. A pillar by itself, a wall by itself, a roof by itself, a floor by itself. Then you have all the electricals going, plumbing going, and then you have all the, I'm not very good at it, but you have then all the finer things going, the gadgets going, and then you have, then finally, of course, you have the painting and the etc., etc. All that structure is the gross structure. अगर वो structure नहीं है, तो कोई आके रह नहीं सकता उसके अंदर. So it's like a house. So this body, and when I said this body, it refers to the entire physical creation. All the bodies. Mahabhutas are the karanam. Physical bodies. Mahabhutas have undergone a modification, means they have undergone a change. So, say there is cement and there is bricks and there is water and then there is, take 2 more things, 5 things, and then the person who decides to make the house, he brings them all together. 5 things have been brought together and now slowly the structure begins to form. So, Pancha Mahabhutas are the material cause. By themselves, Mahabhutas means, actually speaking, they are in their pure form. The same elements in their undifferentiated form, non-modified, undivided form, which have not yet undergone Panchikaranam. Elements in their pure nascent form are not contactable by us. We cannot. We don't have equipments to contact them. It is only in the process of them undergoing their Panchikaranam, differentiation, it's also another word for it, that now you find that you can contact space, etc. So your house is now made. So what is this gross body made? This is called gross body. Gross, again, the English word is a very misleading word. स्थूल है ये. स्थूल means अब grossified हो गया है, contactable है, दृश्यम है, दिखता है. Now a body is visible and it's functional because now the structure by itself is there. How it's become functional will come to later. At this point, what is a gross body really composed of? It is made with 5 elements. Then what is the second thing he said? He says, Sat Karma Janyam. Now these 5 elements, when they come together, 5 elements is common to entire creation. There's no difference. That means every body is made up of the same 5 elements. Then how do we differentiate for every body being so different in their appearance from the other, even in the same species? Even identical twins have some differences. How do you identify the differences? How do you account for the, not identify, how do you account for the differences? Different shariras are there. So the author says, Vedanta says, these differences in your particular bodies, in which whoever's cohabiting, later on explain further, this is the Vishesha Karanam. The Mahabhut is the Samanya Karanam. So everybody's bodies are made up of the 5 elements, grossified 5 elements, not the pure 5 elements, the ones that have undergone a change. So सब शरीर 5 elements से हैं. आप कहीं का भी कोई भी शरीर ले लो, पूरी creation is 5 elements. In fact, 5 elements is creation. The process of non-differentiation of the elements, when it differentiates itself and has now become gross, contactable, this is called creation. Our body is a part of it. This body is a part of it, of the same creation. This is Samanya Karanam, general cause. But we do find that no two bodies actually are identical in their appearance. देखने में कुछ डिस्टिंक्ट है, अलग अलग फीचर्स अलग हैं, रंग अलग है, सब कुछ बहुत अलग है, to such an extent मुझे तो बहुत fascinate करता है, and I really wish I get a scientific answer fast enough for it, because all my life I have wondered how is it possible, which sort of a mathematical permutation combination is this, that no two jivas have, no two individuals have the same fingerprints. What sort of a wonderment is this? And ever since, you have a data bank and you won't find fingerprints the same. What sort of a identity mark is this that distincts you from everything else? It says here, of course, I'm not talking about the fingerprint, but the fact that we have all got different types of bodies. You call them male, female, you call them etc. etc. Rang alag hai, we are born in different places, we have all those things. That there is a distinctness also to each house. It's like saying, even if there is, I think it's in America and it's a lot of places, you have this pura rows of similar homes. They all have same apartments. The whole thing is so, I don't know what they're called now, but each house from outside looks the same. But when you go to each house inside, you'll find it is actually as if so different from the other house. Everything inside the house is different from the other house, though externally they are all appearing the same. So what is this that makes it distinct? Shastra says, this body not only is made up of the 5 elements, gross elements, it is also Sat Karma Janyam. It is born from Sat Karma. Karmas that are Sat. There are 2 ways to see this. One way to see this is, we have said in the past, every karma that a person does has 2 results. One result is seen result, drishtam. And the other result is, you can't perceive the result, but you have still got the result. In time it will show itself, but now it is not seen to you, that is adrishtam. We saw this when we did the Veda Praman. Veda becomes a Praman for karma. And in particular, karmas have drishtafalam, adrishtafalam. Phal is the fruit, results. So karmas create a result. And that result has two categories: a seen result and an invisible result that you've accrued to your account, but it's not yet manifested in your life. It'll come in time. Abhi nahi dikh raha ho. It's almost like saying when in your bank you put certain money and then the interest is compounding, but you don't get it that time. You get it when whatever. So it's something like that. What brings the karmas as drishtam and adrishtam? Adrishtam is a specific category. Drishta phalam ka nature hai कि while it is created, you may also see it as getting destroyed. The result will also keep getting destroyed in front of you. करते करते भी वो नष्ट होता रहता है. यत् दृष्टम तत् नष्टम. Remember the principle? What you are seeing gets resolved, नष्ट हो जाता है. तो जो कर्म फल आपने दृष्ट realm में किया है, जिसका फल दृष्ट है, वो नष्ट हो जाता है. Then and there, or in time, but in a short time. Quite likely within a lifetime. But adrishta phalam is not something that comes immediately, so you do not know when it comes, and because it has come, of course it will go away, but you do not have the certainty of it. But it will certainly come. This adrishta phalam is further called punyam and papam. That which you call, not somebody else. That which you call as favorable to you, desirable to you, is punyam. You call as unfavorable to you, undesirable to you, is papam. By itself has a characteristic that it creates disturbance, that's why it's undesirable. It brings mental disturbance, it brings difficulties that we perceive as undesirable. So sat karma means punya karma. The bodies that we have as distinct to each other is now further, not only dependent on the 5 elements, is now further got a dependence on individuals' satkaram. I also see satkaram in a slightly different way, and that means the same, but explanation is just the difference. Karmas done for sat. Sat means truth, we have seen now. Satyam. Whatever be our pursuits, karmas done towards truth, all call in the category of satkarma. And otherwise, in the realm of punya, it is whatever karma is done with Ishvara Bhavna, etc. They are satkarma, punya karmas. Different topic. But Vishesha Karanam, why the differences in the bodies are there, is because of the body is born from sat karma. Based on your own past karma, you acquire a body. What is the third thing he said? He said, it is sukha dukkhadi bhoga ayatanam. Ayatanam means it's a house. Like I said, your home. For the one who lives in the body, for him now this body becomes the house to experience sukh and dukh. I will say to experience the world. The body is now available for experiencing the world. But body by itself being inert is not going to experience the world. But because there is someone abiding in it, जो रह रहा है अब इस शरीर के अंदर, उसके लिए अब ये घर experiences को भोगने का साधन बन गया है. Means it is making it possible to have experiences. And all experiences culminate in sukh or dukh. We all have a judgment over our experiences. We cannot keep our experiences without judging them, because unless until we judge them as sukh hai ya dukh hai, we don't know what to do with these experiences. Because agar wo mujhe dukh lag rahe hain, to I must get out of them. Agar mujhe sukh lag rahe hain, then I must keep them. So my experiences are all the time qualified by me in my assessment, in my judgment, in my knowledge, in my whatever understanding I have. I'm looking to find and to label my experiences as happy experiences or unhappy experiences, and as if I know that if I call them happy experiences, iske baad mujhe kya karna hai? I have to keep them. And if these experiences are not happy, I must reject them. I must do something to stay away from these experiences. So the body is now a house. This third one is important. It is not just a house. When you got the key, it was made for someone to come and stay. It was not just made like that with nobody coming there to stay. The house was planned. The house was designed, keeping a lot of factors which are making now the person who lives there undergo the experiences. Unhappiness will be their judgment of it. But it's now possible to contact the world. Let me put it straight. Once there is the gross body, the world is contactable. What else is this much is the karanam of sharir. How has the sharir come about? What is vyatiriktaha is pointing to. How will you find what is Atma and what is not Atma? What is not Atma means all this is not Atma. It is Vyatirikta means ye sab wo nahi hai. So ye kya hai? How will you know that? He says you will identify with their nature. Uska dharam kya hai? Uska swabhav kaisa hai? Because Atma ka swabhav Sat Chit Anand hai. In sab ka sthula sharir ka swabhav kya hai? He says the swabhav of sthula sharir is Chad Vikara Eva Etat. Chad Vikaravat. It is subject to Shad Vikar. That is six modifications. Gross body, its nature is, uska swabhav hai that it has 6 modifications inherent in it. Every body. And what are these 6? We all know them to some extent. The author has here already said Asti. Wait, let me go back and make you enumerate it. Asti, 1. See in the definition. 1. Asti. 2. Jayate. 3. Vardhate. 4. Viparinamate. 5. Apakshiyate. 6. Vinashyati. Asti, Ayate, Vardhate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. 6. These are the 6 vikar, changes, inherent to the sthula sharir. In fact, put it the other way, जिसमें ये षड विकार है वो स्थूल शरीर है. Whatever has the nature of these 6, they are all in a linear way. Whatever has these 6 linear changes, one following the other, in a krama, in an order. It's an order. You can't have modification first. Say you want, I'll explain each word just now. You won't have apakshiyate first and then you will have jayate. The order won't change. The order is asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati, and this order will not change. Whatever falls in this order, the nature of that is this order is gross sharir. Sthula sharir hai wo. And we all know through now, what are these? Infant. When an infant is there, I'm first giving you what normally is understood as asti jayate. The minute the child is born, jayate, birth. Jayate is birth. Before it was born, it was there in the fetal life. वो है इसलिए तो वो born है. So asti means है, existent. It is existent, है. Then it takes a birth. Means the body is there, then it has a birth. Then that birth has asti, jayate, varthate. Both. The body is growing. You see all the stages. It starts to grow. Here in this, starts to grow. It's first crawling and then suddenly it's a bipedal. Before it can't even do that. It's swimming like I think amphibians. It was. It's in the. Doesn't matter. So it's swimming. Then it starts to crawl on 4. Then it comes to crawl on feet. And then the body is changing. Vardhate. Then by the time it comes to 18, 20, 16, 18, 20 approximately, now the body stops to grow any further. It reaches its limit of growth. When it reaches the limit of growth, there is still changes happening which are almost sustaining it. Actually speaking, the decline starts from there itself, but they are not perceptible to the human eye straight away. So you have the stage of 20s to say 40s approximately, where there is viparinamate, modifications are happening inside. So the growth has stopped further, but now it is like a plateau. It is now you don't have any height change, you don't have color change, except only your weight changes, but goes on like that. So you have a modification, which is viparinamate. And then slowly now after 50s, the decline begins to happen gradually. That declining stage of it is apakshiyate. What you see from here now. This middle age here is busy earning money, etc., running here. Everything is fit and fine. Even the orientation of life and thinking is different at that time. You just can't understand so many things that the older generation was going through. It is only when you start arriving there you realize, oh, acha, this is what it meant. But at that age, however much you were empathizing, you just couldn't understand what the difficulties of the bodies were to the person. The body itself is going through that change. You have to perceive this in a very objective manner, distancing yourself from it. इस शरीर के ये 6 विकार हैं ही है, ये इसका स्वभाव है. Apakshiyate is that stage of decline now. What is the decline? I can't read without glasses. There. I need my reading glasses. And very soon, I can't hear without my hearing aid. I need a hear. Thank God for science. Otherwise, I don't know, thank God or not. But I need a hearing aid. Very soon, I need dentures. Without them, I can't eat. Everything starts to fall apart. Body, the 5 elements that came together, Tatkarma Janyam, as this change, given the growth, and then the decline starts, and when the decline starts, it ends. Last stage, you came on bed, you go on bed, and then finally vinashyati. The body disintegrates, dies. Body dies. It's its last stage. So very comfortably, one accepts, if one reflects, wherever there is growth, between the in-between stages, the growth, birth and death. If there is birth, death is bound to be there. What? Gross body. There is death of the body. It goes through these changes. So, asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati. जिस चीज का भी ये स्वभाव है वो स्थूल शरीर है. What is आत्मा कहा? स्थूल शरीर व्यतिरिक्त. आत्मा का ये स्वभाव नहीं है. It has no changes. We'll see that later. But first, get this perception. Whatever has these 6 changes, and importantly, inevitable changes. You can't stop them. So however much anti-aging creams people try and do whatever they want to, try to make the body immortal. You can't have an immortal body. Because the nature of Sukshma Sharir is that it undergoes these, and they go in a linear way. As I said, it's a remarkable aspect of nature. There is no disorder here. It has an order in which the body finally, and according to our Hindu perspective, Vedic perspective would be the right word to say, because the body, now see the definition very clearly, and you will identify it in our rituals also. Because the 5 elements came together, what do we do when the person moves on to the body? We offer the 5 elements back to their own than. From the 5 elements came together, formed the body. Somebody came, stayed here for some. It's like a house, a rented house. This is a beautiful attitude for those who want to maximize their life. It's a house. It's a rented house. This is a rented house. Yes, earned by my own karma. I have this house today. Someday the lease is getting over. I have to return back the elements because these elements is not me. The elements came together to support my experiences, but the elements is not me. I have to return them back. So when this death of the body, I too can't even return them back. My body, I can't return them back. Somebody else returns it back on my behalf because the knowledge is somebody else will return mine, I return somebody else's. So you return back to space, air to air, fire to fire, water to water, earth to earth. All the elements are given back to their elements and they're all prayerfully, thankfully, gratefully said thank you. In the sense there's gratitude that the elements supported a life form to express experiences, to earn experiences. And importantly, in this context only, I know I cover too many points sometimes together, but I just trust that in time you will all benefit from it. After you go through the stage of a little confusion, that's okay. That finally these experience, the human body in particular has the uniqueness to it that you have come here to generate some specific experience. Generate as in to recognize something. You will learn, remove something. It's all very conscious now, which only a human body combination brings to you. Now, asti, jayate, vardhate, as I said, this is the common way of looking at it. That once the birth is identified as birth of the person in the physical world, when the child has come physically. But actually speaking, he as existent has already happened. All the stages you also see in the womb. There is the growth of the body. This is very important. It may seem very different to someone. But if you see, asti means there was a potential of life, a body to be formed, therefore a body could be formed. In other words, when you have like we are today, a fully formed body in the world living through the process of Shadvikar, a growth there, some of us have reached the 5th stage, which is, or the 4th and the 5th stage, which is now the Viparinamate and the Apakshiyate. Most of us are reaching the Apakshiyate. But this process started in the womb. When that potential of life happened, which means when you have a fully grown tree, we are all fully grown trees, the possibility of the growth of the body was in the seed that it held. The seed itself had the potential of the tree, which kind of tree it will be. So asti means the very potential form of the body, which just is there at the time of conception. And then you see the whole process happens, which is vardhate. According to science, between the womb life itself, the stages, many people have the stages, and that's why it is so important. Why we celebrate birth is because it's a part of vardhate. Now the body can no longer exist dependent on the mother's water and food. It's growing. It needs its own space to grow. That it has its own identity when it comes to the world. This has very important implication when you understand subtly birth and death and life, rebirth and etc. If you start reflecting on things. That there is the potential there in the seed form. At the right time, this potential now starts to grow, to form a body. And that is why in our tradition, I think it's the certain month of pregnancy where there's a sanskar of garbhadhanam, and then you say now the jiva will come and live. That means before, what was this? This is a house building a structure. As I said the example, when I give my house to a contractor, he starts building the house. He doesn't tell me to come and live at that time. Till the house is livable, I can't live here. So by the time this says about 15 weeks over here from scientific factors, now the body is fairly formed for the one to experience life, to have an experience. That is why we say now there is we'll talk about it later, but the gross body is going through change, is changing right from there. So it's a very short vision. In most of, I've never heard actually this, so I'm taking a liberty to express it like this. Almost every Vedanta, wherever I've heard it, we have started birth from the point the child comes into the world. That's taken as birth. But really speaking from Vedantic Drishti, your birth is actually right at the conception. The body, we are talking about the body, not your growth, not the person's growth. The body has come straight into formation from there, and it is only undergoing a series of changes. It's growing and growing and growing, and jayate means now it is there. Asti, jayate, vardhate, and in that process of vardhate, it comes in the world. When it comes in the world, we are certain now that there is a prarabdha for this person to go in this world. Means now this person has come with certain, prarabdham is another word for karma. There is a certain prarabdham they have brought with them, the person has brought with themselves, that they will exhaust in this lifetime. Before that, the body will not give the person up. The body will not give the person, the body will not die before the person's prarabdha is over. That is why birth is celebrated. I hope the point's made clear. So this being all the stages, he says, what happens because of all this? Back. He says, this now has become a house to have the experience of what I call as sukh and dukh. The gross body is only a sthula combination of elements, thulified, if I may use the English word. It is thulified, grossified, elements have grossified themselves enough that the indweller, who's technically called Shariri, this is Sharira, जिसका शीय होना धर्म है, destructibility is its nature, the Shariri in it is not destructible, isn't destructible. But the Shariri in it now is experiencing the life, is experiencing life. So, Sthula Shariram Kim, what is of the nature of cross body? What is called cross body? What is called physical body? Let's put it this way. What is physical body? Physical body is made up of physical elements because the subtle body will be made up of subtle elements. Physical elements have come about because of grossification of the pure elements. They actually are not the only contributors to the gross body. There are karmas, each one's own punya and papam, because of which there is specificness to the body, which is actually the punya and the pap is what is now becoming the sukh and the dukh for the person who will live here. And the body will definitely have these 6 characteristics, and that characteristic, whoever has, whoever means whatever in creation has these 6 characteristics, has to be gross. And this is where, if you are a little thinking person and you enjoy thinking adventures, let me call it, reflective adventures, reflecting adventures, if that's a good word. If you love adventuring in reflection, then you realize that all the physical universe, when they say started with Big Bang and etc., to a Shastra Drishti, Vedic Drishti, if it has come to birth, the universe has come to birth, it is bound to also have an end. Vinashyati's end. So while it has come to existence, the universe is not immortal. It is going to have a complete dissolution, just as a body, unit body has it, the macro body also has it. So creation means something which has come together. Death is something which actually of the physical body, just going back to its own elemental stage, in its own unperceivable, contactable state. Okay, so this is Sthula Sharira. And then he said, what will be? Remember here, Atmakaha Sthula Sharirat Vyatiriktaha. So he has explained what is Sthula Sharira Vyatiriktaha. Tomorrow he will explain what is Sukshma Sharira. And therefore Atma is Vyatirikta to it. So this is gross body. Then you have a subtle body. And then you have a causal body, which is the Karana Sharir. So 3 bodies, and Atma is distinct from it. So first, if you now ever become more interested in Vedanta, or you already are interested in Vedanta and you will later on have, or if there is a systematic hearing, When Krishna uses these words in second chapter of the Gita, hence Atma marti nahi hai, Atma jalti nahi hai, Atma, he uses that word. The whole verse is like that. What does it mean? You will get this verse in your mind straight away if you digest it. Sthula Sharir is not Atma. The entire context of Gita will only appear to you as alive and not broken in parts. That is why I am purposely only allowing the new people to, rest can keep listening because anyway it is public domain. But if you've never had an exposure to Vedanta before, it is so right, even though I want to take Upanishads, but I'm starting all over again saying, do the fundamental first. Once this fundamental is clear, you will realize everything that Vedanta talks is actually the truth. There is no theory there. There's nothing theoretical in Vedanta. And there is nothing like practical. Everything can't be applied. Knowledge is truth. So you begin to perceive life in its true nature. That's the greatest advantage of Vedantic study. So we will end here for now. And yes, Priyanka, if you can do the vocation, Shanti Bodha.
ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथ्वी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं शोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Good. Just a little pronunciation, you can better it. Varshatu is a chota u, so don't lengthen it. Don't make it Varshatu, Varshatu. And this is Prithvi, not Prithvi.
Prithvi.
So, Prithvi Sasya Shalini.
Prithvi.
It comes very Sasya Shalini. Correct.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you tomorrow. Hari Om.
Thank you, Deepaji. Thank you.
Thank you.